Jace here, and we are here for another episode of the Better Body Academy podcast. So, good morning, guys. Give us that Monday vibes in the comments. We're going to be kickstarting this podcast in 3 minutes. So, as you come into this one live, make sure that you get down into the comments. Let us know that you're here. How was your weekend? What's been happening, guys? This is going to be a very, very solid way to start the week. Hello, Tez. Look at you, brother. First one in. So good. So, guys, how was the weekend? Let us know. And if you're new to the podcast, make sure that you get down in the comments there and say hello, good morning. I need the encouragement. It's currently 3:30 a.m. where I am, so it's always good to know that we've got crew in here. Look at this. It's all the OGs coming in. So if you haven't already, what is a good idea is, so that I know it's you, is if you tick there should be a link above that says restream. And so all you need to do is just like in the post itself, just under the heading, there should be a link. If it's not there, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, guys, we're going to get started in this episode in a minute and a half. Hello, Tezzy. How are you, my legend? Look at this crew. Oh, sunny. There must be some vibes coming from Oz. Hey, Ash, good morning. I hope you're well, girlfriend. Sean's here as well. Hello, Nicky boy. What's going on, pal? Loz is in here as well. Hello, Lozzie. Look at all the OGs just stripping into this one. Morning, second handsome wolf. Ooh, that's nice, mate. Cheers, Mikey boy. Guys, we're starting this episode in 1 minute. Suze, what's going on, girlfriend? I hope you're good. Jojo, must be getting hot out your way. I hope things are good for you, girl. Trace, love the public check-ins with you and your man. Good morning, Kez. Storm Babette has locked us in. Ugh, no good. Things are getting rough in Scotland. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well, guys. We're starting in 30 seconds. Xanth is here as well. Hello, Jack. Look at this. This is so good. Now, guys, I just want to give you a heads up, okay? I'm running a bit of a gauntlet here at the moment. Hello, Shaz. How are you, girl? I'm running a bit of a gauntlet here at the moment. I'm across in Lombok, in Indonesia, and I'm using my phone on local 4G to tether. So you know what that means. This could explode at any time. And if it does, no problems. I'll record a podcast and then repost it later. But we should be good. So let's get stuck into another episode of The Potty. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. What a week. Like, even for our clients, the direction and the focus that is in the group right now is so good. I want to start off by congratulating all of the people that decided to do public check-ins, which I didn't ask you to do. There may have been more that I missed, but Eden Foley, first one, I think, Kev Grant, Les Walport, Xanth, Nick, Sharon B with a ripper, Monique with a ripper, Shane and Tracy Gillum, Gina, which was unreal. Although, Gina, when you do after and before the wrong way around, it creeps me out, just saying. Shane Duncan, and there were I think there were a few other people. So if I missed your name, I do apologize. I think it's good to do this because what you're essentially saying is that, well, I don't care about judgment. Fuck you. I don't care about judgment. This is my life. You're taking control back. So I love that you feel confident enough to do this, even if it gives you a little bit of anxiety in the process. I also want to shout out a couple of crews. So Sharon B, I saw the post of here in the podcast live, the Cancer Council 7 Bridges Walk, bloody amazing. Also to JC Nyes and Tony Marshall on their Fernley 15. Like, the place is exploding at the moment. Do you guys, like, there's 30 people watching live. Do you guys feel the energy at the moment? Like, it's just so positive, and that's really important coming into this Christmas period, because I think what a lot of us do is we nosedive towards the holiday season and then wonder why on New Year's Eve we're struggling. You know, it's really important that we keep momentum through this period. That does not mean that you can't enjoy your food, and in fact, that's going to be the topic of this podcast. Most of all, to everyone that checked in, bloody well done. I'm going to do a separate video on this in the next day or two. Suffice to say, for the guys that did check in and know their result, so to speak, just remember that this is not about trying to control weight loss. I know that there's this temptation to get really excited by what you see on the scales, or alternatively really deflated by what you don't see on the scales if that number isn't something that you want to see. But the reality is you can't change the number. You just cannot change the number. What you can change is what you do about it, right? What you can change is staying on the process, FTFP. What you can't change is the number. And when you release pressure on yourself to kind of constantly be chasing this number, you don't have this expectation that week after week after week, you're going to end up at, this number and then be defined by that. This is really going to come out in this podcast. I really do think that a good way to think about this is something that I really want to catch on here, like FTFP, is be the goldfish. Be the person that just wakes up every morning and forgets, presses reset and starts again. The ability to do that with your emotions, these are the people that are successful. I saw a number of people that hit 5 kilos in a week. Like, it's pretty hard for you not to be feeling high off the back of that, right? But at the same account, what happens if you don't hit 5 kilos this week, which definitely won't happen? So now you're like, oh, I failed. This I'm going to talk about over the course of the podcast. Just finally, on the Wolves versus Warriors challenge, the update is as such. The Wolves got the Saturday victory as I expected they would to make it an even steal. But the Sunday, the girls hitting back with public check-ins and that pizza posting from the meal plan absolutely nailed it. So we're looking at Wolves 3, Warriors 4 going into this new week. So let's get stuck in. All right. To everyone that's kind of on the fence with starting BBA, you challenge guys, this podcast might become a little bit triggering, even to a few of our clients. It will point to a few facts that I'm guessing you know, or you probably haven't properly accepted yet. Now, in the kickoff call, I asked you guys the following 2 questions. Who's done a diet before and failed in the last year? And nearly 95% of people said yes, right? And the second question I asked was, who knows they're not going to be exactly where they want to be after 21 days? And of course, 95% of people said yes. And so for those of you that have committed to the challenge and taken it really seriously, no doubt you feel in good momentum. But the warning that I do have, and remember, I promised this on the kickoff call that I would be a man of my word, a lot of what you're feeling is the crazy energy inside the group right now that's being surrounded by driven people that's creating motivation. You feel motivation, right? But by yourself, it's hard. And real change takes time. It takes persistence in creating new habits. Habits are different to hype. Changing your lifestyle is different to motivation. So if you're ready to play the long game, and for the record, if you've got 10 kilos to lose and you lose 10 kilos in 3 weeks, you're actually the person that I'm probably most worried about. Let me explain why. You've done amazing. You've pushed yourself, but you need to acknowledge that if you've carried weight for 5 to 10 years or more, the full achievement of the goal should be to keep the weight off for the next year to 2 and be able to enjoy your food again. That's the complete picture. The complete picture isn't losing 10 kilos. So many people, they just care about the number, and the reality is they put it back on again. Leslie G, one of our guys that signed up last week, he lost 12 kilos in our last challenge, waited 2 months, and then signed up because of the fact that he needed the long-term accountability. Today's episode is a pretty provocative one in this title, Why Suffering Your Weight is Like Being in an Abusive Relationship. Now, I want to just say from the outset that I am not in any way trivializing people that have experience with domestic violence. So I want to just say that at the outset because I'm not in any way doing that. But I do see similarities. Let me set the scene for you. I'm in Bali, and Claudia and I are using this time to do as many date nights as we can possibly do. So we're at dinner on, I think it was Friday. I'm sitting across from, when you just have these like flashing moments where maybe it's because the work week, so to speak, is over. And I'm sitting across and the lighting is like dark and it's like, she's like fucking radiating. I've got this absolute woman of my dreams sitting opposite me. And we're having a great conversation. And the catalyst for this, no kids, by the way, for clarity, the catalyst for this is the food that we're eating. We're at this beautiful steak restaurant. We've gone through our starters. We're sharing this amazing charred octopus salad, which was ridiculous and probably the best sirloin steak I've ever had. I'm on my second glass of wine. And I stopped and just sort of had this moment where I said to her, you know what one of my greatest wishes in the world is, Cords? Is that all of my clients could reach a place where we are. Now, I think initially she took that as me referring to the quality of our relationship, the gratitude I have for our life and being in a position where we can influence people in a positive way, sure. But what I was actually referring to was the meal. I was actually referring to the dinner that we were able to enjoy. To be able to sit back and truly enjoy the food without worrying about how that's going to impact my weight. I mean, food itself is the cultural centerpiece of nearly everything. Agreed? Nearly every gathering. And I have a hell of a lot of sad feelings, I guess is the way to put it, for people whose relationship with food has become negative. Claudia said to me, you need to do a podcast on this and be honest, Jace. So here it is. I totally believe that when it comes to weight loss, most people just have the wrong approach, completely the wrong approach. Through repeated thoughts and behaviors, they've created this terrible relationship with food and exercise for that matter, such that if they manage to lose a bit of weight, the way that they've gone about it isn't necessarily sustainable, which creates this constant internal battle through years of weight loss and weight gain, referred to as yo-yo dieting. So there's 30 people watching here. Can I ask, who knows that battle? Please let me know in the comments, guys. Who knows that battle? The internal battle that's coming constantly between like, I shouldn't eat this and I should, like, it's just this like constant ongoing to and fro, and we assign meaning to it, right? We start to think about this quite deeply. And so I see similarities between the weight management roller coaster and being in a really shitty relationship, a really shitty romantic relationship. And everyone's saying nailed it, all too well, big time, me, unfortunately, yes, hands up, that was me, all too well. Okay, great. And so it goes through these long, shitty periods where the relationship is toxic. This leads to feelings of guilt and shame. You wish for more, but you don't think you deserve it. There's distrust and instability in the relationship. And even though you want to think good things about the person or the way that you're doing this diet, you instinctively know that the relationship that you've got with the person or the food or the exercise is not going to last because it's taking way too much energy for you to continue to show up in that negative framework. So with both, these, I'll give you some examples. These ridiculous diets like keto or man shake, for me, they just ruin our relationship with food. The ridiculous fitness influencer that you're following constantly because they look good, but they tell you you're a failure because you can't work out 17 times a week, that's ruining your relationship with exercise. Being in a poor relationship with two things that are meant to be life-giving and enjoyable, like food and exercise, makes you feel pretty shitty about yourself because they're the core of everything we do, eating and moving. Yet we continue to tolerate this shitty approach. We jump from one shiny object to the next without learning the clear lessons that are there to be had. And what's really interesting, just observing all women now in the comments that are kind of firing up here. Now that either means that women are the only ones to suffer this, and I know that's not the case, or men just don't recognize it. This is a really interesting observation. All women. Sterling comes in and says morning. So this is it. right? Maybe it's that women are more in touch with this relationship. Men just binge and then starve and then take up something fucking ridiculous like Manshake. Like jumping from relationship to relationship, but sticking to the same type of person and wondering why nothing is changing is crazy. Let me make it clear. If you can't do a process for the rest of your life, it's not worth doing for the rest of the month. I've got a great example from the Facebook group that I just read then. My girl, Philippa, asked about, should I take whey protein? Should I continue to take whey protein? It gives me bloating and like I can't really tolerate it that much. Is a vegetarian protein better? And I said, yeah, for sure. Get onto a pea protein and try that. That's negotiable. What's not negotiable is hitting your protein target. And her response, and I'm not criticizing, it's the response that happens with everyone, is she said, no, I'll just push through for the next period. No, you won't push through. That's the challenge mindset. What do you mean you're going to push through? Pushing through doing something that you don't like, don't want to do, doesn't make you feel good. Do you think that's going to help the relationship with your body? No way. Going back to my intimate relationship with Claudia, like speaking honestly, I had to go through lots, and I bet you're the same, of broken relationships and struggles to find the person that I'm now together with. And the abundance I feel with her, when I looked at her the other night, I was like, fuck man, this girl is just the girl of my dreams. It's the same freedom that I feel with food and exercise. Because I don't live in this binary existence that most people do. I'm good, I'm bad. I'm on the horse, I'm off the horse. I'm smashing it, I'm struggling. Where if I don't train, I'm a failure. Or if I overeat my calories for a day, I'm a bad boy. Like I saw this black and white commentary coming up in a couple of the challenge posts. The one that grabbed my attention was, I only lost 3 kilos this week. Like, what the fuck? Have you got any idea what 3 kilos looks like? If we all agree that the root of most of our weight struggles comes from trying to juggle everything in our lives, in as much that it's hard to do this, why add more pressure of setting ridiculous expectations that you're going to be perfect in your nutrition and training every day? That's no less silly than entering a relationship or a marriage pretending you're going to be the perfect husband or wife every day of the year. There's no harm in trying to be your best, but when you can't be perfect, don't throw the baby out with the bloody bathwater. Again, be the goldfish that wakes up every day and says, you know what, like yesterday's yesterday, and just presses reset. Forgot about that, next. After all of my broken relationships, this is what I actually did. I took a long look at my approach. And the reason that I did this was because I was 34 or 35 years old. I'd been in 3 relationships that were 3 to 4 years or over. And when each one of them ended and I wasn't still a dad, I felt like shit. And it just repeated. And we're doing the same thing with our nutrition and with our training approach. So I had to do something different. But in order to get something different, I had to do something different. Rather than continuing to run the same patterns over and over again, I needed to address the underlying issues. If I wanted to find the wife, become the dad, get what I felt that I deserved, I needed to take responsibility, remove the emotion, and just step back and look at the patterns. What do I keep doing over and over again? And I think the majority of people with weight management issues and health overall need to do the same. You need to step back and ask yourself, why am I struggling with this so much? Why do I continue to hop from new thing to new thing? How much time am I wasting downloading free PDFs, Googling the quickest way to lose weight, like doing challenge after challenge? Just fix the bloody thing. And it's not going to come overnight. And as I start to read through the comments here, someone that draws my attention is Bern Hopley. Burns, you've got such great results over a period of time, but it's not been like this easy. I see the emotional roller coaster from the outside. Totally see it, right? And it's constant work to detach from the emotion. But Burns, I want you to imagine that you are a person in the first week of this challenge. You've just lost 4 kilos. You're like, fucking hell, how good's that? And then in 3 weeks' time, you're on your own again, wondering why you're not losing 4 kilos again. You can comment if you want, Burns, but my understanding is the exact reason you're in this group is because it's just not as simple as, hey, you know what? I'm just going to stop eating for a while and this is going to work. Guys like, Kaylee Church, shout out to her, Leslie Walport, Aaron Waters, Steve Hopley, Terry Holden, Steve Byron. These were all people that struggled for years with their weight, tolerating a toxic relationship that they had with food, booze, exercise, and now look at them. So as we bring this to a close, guys, when we started Better Body Academy, which was now about 3.5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I saw a big issue with the fitness industry. This was the big issue. All the industry was doing, now I'm generalizing, but what I saw from the outside is all the industry was doing was giving people plan after plan after plan. And the person's like, have you got another meal plan for me? Think about what that's doing. That's just creating dependency on the trainer or the coach or the plan. So our business model when we started this was the complete opposite. And to be honest, it's from a financial perspective, given the amount of time and people that goes into running this thing, it's expensive. So it's risky for me to teach people what to do so they eventually don't need us because they've learned what freedom looks like. It's not going to happen in 6 weeks, but it can happen in, a year, 2. Turns out that model is extremely fucking successful because people appreciate being taught. I should say some people appreciate being taught. And people end up actually staying because they realize that it's not another plan that they need. They stay because they love the community, and this is evidence of it here. 6:30 in the morning Australian time, 8:30 p.m. UK time, and people are watching a podcast as a community. It feels like home. Shout out to Pete Moon, Kent Faulkner, the 30 mastermind students that all renewed last week and extended for another 12 months. Look, this is what it's about. You've got to play the long game. Let me present to you an analogy as we finish this up, okay? I'm loving that Burns is in no way offensive about this. She's just like 100%. I hope this podcast gets published. Yeah, everyone needs to hear it. Absolutely, it'll be published. So the final analogy that I've got for you is this. It's going to be hard, but we can save you years of dating, ending in shitty relationships where you get hurt and you feel guilt and shame and end up back at square one. We can save you from being scared of calories so you can actually repair your relationship with food. I think Christy Keenan is a great example of this. I can save you from dad bod. So that shirt that's in the back of the fucking cupboard, you can bring out when the weather warms up. I can help you. We can help you. The community here can help you feel 2 feelings that you have not felt in a long time. Those 2 feelings are pride and self-love. Pride and self-love. Because you're no longer riding this emotion. Look, it's still emotional. It's very difficult to detach from that. Very difficult. But seeing other people with their vulnerabilities and sharing and getting on the coaching calls, it breaks down the toxicity. This straight up, this 21-day challenge for those that are in the challenge, it doesn't change your mind. It can't. You can't change your mind in 21 days, and it's ridiculous to think that you can. There is a best practice approach, and if you follow it, you'll get results quicker than you ever have. But what a good coach should actually care about is permanence, not speed. Like all of the people that have lost 5, 6, 7 kilos this week, they're the ones that I'm keeping an eye on going, all right, dude, we're not going to repeat that this week. If you've come into the BBA, if you come into the BBA and not get involved, you'll just get what you've always got before. Like that'll just keep happening because you've done nothing to actually change. The thing that changes it is doing something different. Does this make sense, guys? If you haven't already got this, the results that you're seeing from our clients, which I didn't ask a single one of you to post anything. Why would you do that? Because you believe in the process of following the plan and having the accountability that's probably missing a little bit, and it's not going to be perfect. We talked a moment ago about what the complete picture looks like. So let me give you that. The complete picture is not losing 10 kilos or 20 kilos or 50 kilos for that matter. That is not the complete picture. The complete picture is when exercise and eating abundantly with a sense of freedom doesn't mean you can go and get knee deep in chocolate cake 5 times a week. It means that there's balance in what you do. When that becomes embodied and part of you, when you look in the mirror and say this beautiful thing, I'm a healthy woman, or I'm a healthy man, that's the complete picture. And for a lot of us, that's going to take years to work on. But that new identity gives you freedom like nothing else. And to be honest, I don't know if I've done a good enough job in communicating this in the podcast, but when I was looking across at my absolutely stunning wife the other day and this beautiful, and I just had this like flashing, zooming moment just going like, oh, man, I just wish this for everyone because this is happiness to me. Okay, I'm going to end it there or I'm going to get teary. So some of the guys are like, oh, feelings. Fuck the feelings, you know. I'm just going to do man shake. I missed the mark. Anyway, guys, this has been the Better Body Academy podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs, hopefully getting your week and your new week of the challenge off to a good start. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Okay, team. Did the message come across enough? I'm a bit bummed that I can't actually see who these ones are, but I hope this podcast will be published. This is big. Everyone needs to hear it. Thank you, Jace. Can you say who this is? Okay. Explained better for me. I was triggered after what you said on the Zoom on Friday night regarding my steps comment. Yep. Yeah, and the hard thing is it's really difficult to talk to everyone all of the time and try to personalize it. Like just please forgive me with any of this. Like this, the point of this is, you know what? I'm not going to be vanilla, right? I'm going to tell you what I think. And that doesn't mean that there is not intricacies in any individual's circumstance. 1,000%. So, you know, in these, you've got to kind of work out the application to you, because at the end of the day, if you listen to a podcast and don't do anything as a result of the podcast, then nothing happens. So let's actually ask a good question. How do you actually make this podcast beneficial? Or for that matter, any podcast that you listen to by any person? How do you make it beneficial? Okay, I'm just going to tell you the way I make podcasts beneficial is that I think to myself, like, what's the application for me? Like, how does this apply to me? I would run a filter over what's been discussed here and say, okay, like, where am I on this scale of black and white? Like, where do I sit there? Am I feeling good about this? Is this something that I need to consciously work on? And how do I work on that? My opinion is actually this. Repetition is the mother of all learning. One of my favorite phrases ever. Repetition is the mother of all learning. So let's say that you listen to 50 podcasts by myself. Each one of those podcasts is generally going to be talking about the mindset, the approach. And what's going to happen is after you've listened to 50 to 100 podcasts, what's going to happen is that you're going to have inspected the kind of the self in so many different ways. And each podcast, just think about 1 point might hit, just 1 point, bang, and that's it. You'll forget everything else. 1 point might hit. Next podcast, it might be 2 minutes in, something might be said, bang, that 1 point might hit. And what happens is let's just say you're just listening to a 30-minute podcast or a 15-minute podcast over and over again. Each time, if something just hits a little bit, those repetitious hits are what start to sink in. And if I could just restate some stuff, is that I'm really bad at shitloads of things, such as swearing. I'm really bad at some things, lots of things, but I'm really good when it comes to health, nutrition, and fitness. So if you can envisage the coaching process like this, what I'm trying to do is distill what I know to be true into some simplicity, ball it up with some emotion, and then transfer it to you. And if you can accept the transfer on a repeated fashion, just think of it like going and depositing your pay, so to speak, each week. Okay, there's the deposit. There's the deposit. There's the deposit. Eventually what happens is that process of transferring just happens. It starts to ingrain in you. And all of a sudden you got people like Sean Baker who start to quote back things that I've said, probably not even knowing that they're doing it. And it's great. That's the coaching process in transformation. So yeah, come in, get some listening, go back to your life. Makes sense. You explain things so well and passionately. Yeah, Trudy, because thank you, but it's like it literally is passion because yeah, I feel very grateful for everything. Anyway, anything else, guys, that you want to discuss? Questions? So, Kath, the emotion I was most associated with shame. Yeah, so toxic. It's so toxic, isn't it, Kath? That's like the biggest thing. And again, like, how hard is that to remove? It's like seriously hard to remove. It just takes time and repetition. Put it into action. Yeah, you got it. Okay, guys. All right. Well, good luck for having a beautiful sleep on your Sunday night or having a great start to your Monday day. I appreciate you guys coming in. Hopefully it's been beneficial, and I'll see you in the next episode.